Alrighty, let's get started. So, any questions about anything so far? Anything we did? Alright. Okay. So, what we're gonna do today is strings. Which is kind of odd because we're at chapter 7 and we have already been doing strings all this time. But I guess strings revisited and a couple of assignments that go with that. So let's just have a look at what the books tells you. There's a little summary that I have in here, and that's probably going to be most of what I'm going to tell you today. So let me have a look. Alright, so first of all, what's a string? Anything that's enclosed in double quotes. Right? If it's single quotes, it's a character, double quotes is a string. Anything that's inside this double quotes is a string. You can have special characters, you can have spaces, no problem. So, there's different ways to do strings, right? And there's an example right here. You can use your regular, how you would do it with a constructor, right? Some kind of a, the object, the instance name is equal to new string, which is the constructor, and then inside the quotes you can put the actual new string, which is just another way to do the same thing, which is right here, right? So you can do it this way, and you can also do it this way. Okay, same thing, same but different. Okay, so string classes, there's a string constructor Java. Let me have a look. So this is week 4, if I have it somewhere in there, buried in this stuff. String constructor, alright, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to download this thing so we can see it. And this is something that's inside of the book, right? You have this as examples in the book, right? Just different ways for you to construct a string, right? There's your default nothing blank string. There's another one which lets you create a string with this message. You can create a character array, and you don't know what an array is yet, but you will next on Thursday, right? So you can create a character array, which is basically a list of characters, and you can put that inside of the constructor of the string. It will recognize it, and it will make a string out of that. You can tell it to only do a subset of the string, right? So this basically tells it start at the D and then go, count 3, basically do these 3 letters of the character array or the list of characters. You can also have a byte array, right? Which is just another kind of an information that the string can be initialized with. And you can do the subset of that as well, just like we did with this one up here. There's also a string buffer, right? String buffer is similar to a string, right? And you can use a string buffer as your parameter or your argument into a string constructor, okay? And this here on the bottom, it just shows you, will show all the other strings. Okay, so nothing fancy, it's just different ways to make strings. The other one, so that's the string constructor. Concatenation. You remember what a concatenation is? What's concatenation? Awesome. When you add a couple of strings together with a plus sign, it turns it into one big string, right? That's basically it. That's all there is. It's concatenation. The book also talks about the Java garbage collection, which is something that's really cool about Java. It prevents memory leaks. So, you know what memory leak is? No? Well, we did memory leaks. We kind of talked about memory leaks in the C++ class. And it has to do with like pointers and, let's say your program sucks up memory as it's running, and it sucks up more memory, and it sucks up more memory, and it's just basically your computer runs out of memory at some point, and just the program crashes, or the operating system kills the program because of this memory leak. Okay, and when you're doing this with C++, if you create a pointer, by the way, Java doesn't even have pointers, they got rid of them, fortunately, right? If you have a pointer, and then that pointer, basically it's a variable that points to some place in memory, and it basically takes up space. If you have to release that pointer so that you can release the memory back into circulation. Java has something called garbage collection, which will automatically do that for you. If you keep up making new objects and filling up memory and filling up memory and filling up memory, it will go in there periodically and say, oh, hold on, this is not being used, this is not being used, clear it up. That's the Java garbage collection. Okay, so it's just a way to prevent the memory leak. In here, there's an example of the string concatenation, right? You have this message, which is equal to something, and then your message is equal to itself plus something else. That's the concatenation. We're just adding up something else to the string, turning it into one bigger string. String input, again, we did this. I don't know which chapter it was, 4 or 5, something like that, right? Where you saw how you can do a couple of different ways to do input. One was using this input reader and buffered reader, where you can enter information from the keyboard in the command line. Okay, and there's another way to do input, which is with the dialog box, right? Little window shows up with a text box. You type up the information in the little graphical user interface thingy. You enter, and that's it. Okay, if you noticed, right, this one is a little bit longer. So if you want to go with this way, that's totally fine with me. For me, it's easier to see how your program works if you do it this way, but I won't hold it against you if you do it with the dialog box because it's shorter. I would. Okay. Plus, you got a little pop-up window. Why not? Okay. So concatenation, adding strings with a plus sign, initialization, just give it an initial value to the string using the equal sign. All right. One important thing. Right, so keep a difference in your head, right? There's a difference between the assignment operator and the double equal sign. All right, the double equal sign is when we did the ifs and elses. And guess what? You cannot do this to a string. Okay, well, you could, and it will work half the time or something like that. Okay, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So bottom line is you cannot compare two strings in Java using the equal sign. Doesn't work. Okay? Or it works all the time, 60% of the time. That kind of thing. Okay? String methods. Let me have a look at that. Alright. String methods. And again, this is something that's in the book, which is why I'm having it hidden. Alright? Let's have a look at the main thing. There is compare to, so you have one string compare to some other string, right? This whole thing, the compare to method is basically built into the string object itself, and what it will do is it will return a number, right? The book shows you, if it's less than 0 and if it's equal to 0 and there's something else. Right, the only one that kind of makes sense to me is this middle one, right? Because you're going to be comparing one string to another. You're going to see if they're equal. If you're trying to see if one is longer than another, you would do it a different way. So the only meaningful thing that this returns is if it equals 0, right? If you have one string dot compared to some other string, right? And if this whole thing turns out to be 0, they're equal. And if it's something else, they're not equal. Simple as that. Okay? There's a built-in method for strings. It goes something like this, like string.length, right? That will allow you to measure how many characters in the string, so you can make a loop that goes through each character of the string and looks through them. Okay? There's going to be some exercises in the book that will show you or ask you to do this, and there's some examples that will show you how to do this kind of stuff. There's ways for you to compare two strings ignoring the case. So this is similar to this one right here, right? Except we're throwing it right inside of the if, right? Because it's going to return either 0 or something else. If it returns a 0, that's basically the same as saying true, right? So if it's 0, if it's 1, right, this is going to return a true, okay? True or false. Actually, this whole thing returns true or false. There's your length, right? String length. This is how you find how many characters are in the string. You can use this to create a loop that goes through the characters. You can do the concat. So if if you like to do extra work and instead of just doing a plus to concatenate two different strings, there's another way to do this. And you can also convert a string to lowercase, convert a string to uppercase, which does exactly what it says it will. Any questions? We're good? Okay, that's all there is for this. The next thing, Stringbuffer methods. Let's keep going through this. All right, so these are different methods, and it's in, look at table 7.4 and 7.3 in the textbook. It'll show you these different things. Conversion methods. Again, we've done this. Chapter 4, right, allowed you to enter information and then convert that information into something else. Right, so let's say the user enters a string, but that string is an actual number. You want to convert that number into a real number so you can do some kind of a math with it, because you can't really do math with strings. The only thing you can do is concatenation, and concatenation doesn't even do math. It just puts the two things next to each other. Right, so if you really want to do meaningful math with the string, this is how you do it. Let's say if you want to do a double, you do double dot parse double and then the string. Okay, keep in mind that if you're trying to parse a string which is not a double, or it might be just like some text, and you're trying to convert that thing into a number, it's not going to like it. It's going to give you an error, right? Which is that error handling thing that we did at some point, right? Right, so 7.5, 7.6, tables shows different methods to convert. There's also ways to convert from an integer, right? Parse int, integer, parse int. There's another way to do it. You can say double dot value of string double value, which is basically saying same thing as saying this right here. Okay. String buffer class. Right, all those strings created from string class can be manipulated using both string and character class methods. Strings are immutable. Okay, what does it mean to be immutable? Anyone know? No idea? All right. So if you have a string, let's say, is equal to Alex, lowercase Alex, right? And I'm trying to change just the letter A to uppercase. I cannot. That's what it means that it's immutable. It's fixed to whatever it is. I can go and say in there and say string is equal to quotes Alex with uppercase, so I can assign a whole new string to the variable, but I cannot go in there and change the individual characters. That's what it means that it's immutable, right? Cannot change individual characters, but you can assign it to a whole different string. Okay? There's a string buffer method which allows you to do that, but there's a disadvantages for the string buffer method, which is you cannot compare strings to each other. Okay, so that's one thing that's missing, and that's the last page of this summary that I have for the book. And let's have a string buffer method. Let's have a look at this thing. Alright, I'm gonna download this. Alright, so this is your string buffer method. The string buffer will allow you to replace certain elements of the string or certain characters of the string. You can tell it to insert inside of the string, right? You can get the original string, insert some other new string in it. So this one tells it, insert this particular string after the fourth character of the original string. And by the way, it's not really string, it's string buffer, right? The string buffer is the one that's mutable. Okay? But if you really want to, you can use your string constructors, the ones that we looked at earlier, and you can use the string buffer. Let me go and have a look at it real quick. So string constructors, this one. Remember, this piece right here, that allows you to get a string buffer, which is kind of a string, and make a new string equal to that thing. So if you ever want to measure how many, well, the length of something, or compare one string to another string, even if it's a string buffer, you can convert it to an actual string. Okay, so that's that. So yeah, you can insert into a string buffer. You can replace different things from the string buffer. You can tell, all right, start at 12, end at 18, and then everything in there, replace it with this, right? And yeah, the length, there's also length for the string buffer, but there isn't compare. It also lets you reverse things if you want. You can do that, right? Just changes the order back and forward. So that's the string buffer. And let me have a look at what other thing I have in here. If there's anything useful in this one that I have hidden from you. No, not really. Alright, just what's a basic string, different ways to make a string, showing out the string. Okay, that's all there is. That's all there is in this chapter. Strings, very easy. You have to do a couple of assignments that go with this. Right, they're right here, chapter 7. And this one right here, exercise 7.3. You know the drill. Okay? Questions? Okay. That's all there is for this one. So, I'm going to unplug and post the little video that I have for today. And that's all there is. All the lecture notes are in the book. Yes? Alright. Thanks for coming.
That's it?
That's it. Short and sweet.